OpenAI pretty much changed the AI market again today by introducing GPT 5.2, their most advanced frontier model. Now, on today's episode, we are going to take a closer look at GPT 5.2. We also have some other OpenAI news that they made a partnership and an agreement with Disney, which I think is actually pretty exciting for the AI ecosystem. And I do have some news for one of my favorite AI companies, Coreweave, that they just announced another new customer, massive customer in the AI space. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right. So if you have been following this channel, you guys know that I'm extremely bullish in the AI space and the overall AI market. Now, I did do a video on Oracle that just reported earnings yesterday. And during the time of my recording and when I posted, most of the AI stocks were down. In that video, I mentioned that what Oracle actually said was extremely bullish for the AI market. And feel free to check out the video if you want to learn everything about there. But pretty much, I thought the sell-off was and misunderstanding or something that Wall Street had completely missed about AI and about the future of the AI ecosystem. Now, by the end of the day, we did see a nice turnaround. We could see CoreWeave was almost green on the day, but it was down nearly like 5-6%. Nebius was up also, finished the day green. We also had other companies like Iron finish green. So overall, super exciting, and I'm still very bullish in the overall AI ecosystem because of what we heard from Oracle. Now, with this new GPT 5.2, OpenAI starts that already the average ChatGPT enterprise user says AI saves them 40 to 60 minutes a day, and heavy users say it saves them more than 10 hours a week. They designed GPT 5.2 to unlock even more economic value for people. It's better at creating spreadsheets, at building presentations, at writing code, at perceiving images, understanding long context, using tools, and handling complex multi-step projects. So obviously the biggest kind of pain for AI right now is there a return on investment? And that's, I think, what OpenAI wanted to fill in first. It's like, look, our enterprise users already say they save 40 to 60 minutes a day. That's a whole hour that they, in theory, should be doing something else. Now, is that 40 to 60 minute hours, 40 to 60 minutes a day that they save now used in doom scrolling on TikTok or something else? That's a whole different answer. But if one is optimal, it does allow you to do even more and more. And obviously the heavy users can save them more than 10 hours a week. That's pretty intense. So they kind of really just focused on that economic discussion first, which I think is pretty smart. Now, they are rolling out this GPT 5.2 to their overall paid users, but they gave us a benchmark. And the benchmark is this is much better than GPT 5.1 dramatically. And GPT 5.1 wasn't bad. And they even have performance of this versus other models. And versus other models, it is the best one out right there. And this is what the all AI race is about. First, Gemini came out and said, look, we have the best model with Gemini 3.0. Then Claude came out and said, look, 4.5 Opus is the best model. Now, OpenAI comes out, actually GPT 5.2 comes out, and this is the best model right now. So this is going to continue, and it doesn't happen every month or so, right? It takes time to develop these models. So maybe in a few months from now, we will see kind of another round of AI model fights, but I don't think we're going to see anything anytime within the next month or two. Now, they do give us some showcases of how GPT 5.2 is better for a lot of just enterprise and work use cases. Here they talk about creating a form of hiring plan. This was a presentation that was created by 5.1. This is a presentation here created by 5.2. You can see the breakdown in engineering and marketing and legal and sales very easily, opposed to where you had the department here, but just the overall way to look at it. This is something that if you had a boss is how you would present to your team opposed to something like this. And they show other different types. They talk about cap table, how 5.1 incorrectly calculated maybe the seed series round. Project management, here you can kind of see a form of how to follow the flow of what's happening within a certain project. So they do give a lot of new, they show a lot of new improvements. And I think these improvements are different. I mean, if this is something an intern or a college student would probably give me, this is something that a professional would give me. And same with everything else, right? This is maybe something an intern would give me. Look, this is how you create a workflow of workforce planning model. This is what a professional would give me, right? So there is, I think, a massive difference, at least in the presentation. Now, they also talk about how they were able to do a lot more, and even coding simulations, right? They showcase this ocean wave simulation that you can simulate the speed and it determines how the water moves. You can determine the wave height and then again the wave speed and the lighting around. And so many different models. You have like a holiday card builder, you have like a typing rain game. So they are getting better and they have a lot and a lot of new of customers that have shared their feedback on GPT 5.2's coding capabilities. All right. Everyone's going to say, yes, this is the better model. They also mentioned that GPT 5.2 thinking hallucinates less than GPT 5.1. That is always important, right? And then the amount of long context that it gets is also pretty impressive. Now, we're not going to look at the overall tech sheet, but again, here's another one. Just various use cases. And you as a user, the reason I'm showing these use cases is because you as a viewer need to understand where we're at. And you can say, oh, look, that's actually something that can be a viable business. Here, for example, is trying to determine where certain things are in a slide. Imagine if you're some form of tracking Q&A, making sure everything looks intact, that you have the right type of connection, the right type of chips, the right type of whatever. Here, you're in GPT 5.1 only kind of labeled and understood some of them. GPT 5.2 labeled a lot more correctly, and kind of was just both accurate and um, had a nice amount of information and was accurate. So it was diversified in that aspect. Final thing I want to showcase here, and sorry for doom scrolling to you all, is they do talk about their partners. They mentioned that GPT 5.2 was built in collaboration with their longstanding partners, NVIDIA and Microsoft, Azure data centers, and NVIDIA GPUs, including H100, H200, and GB200. Now, I thought it was interesting to show this. I wonder who's making who say this, right? It could be both. Microsoft wants to say, you need to make sure you tell the world that you're still using our servers. NVIDIA is saying, you have to make sure you tell the world that you're still using our chips. So this was purely built on NVIDIA GPUs. And I guess it's also that fight that right now that Gemini always says that they build on TPUs. So it's kind of a reminder that, look, the GPU market, NVIDIA solutions are still pretty damn strong. Now, seems to be a hybrid scale, right? It has the H100, the H200, and the GB200. I can't wait till we finally get a system or a training model that is fully created by NVIDIA's GB200 or the Grace Blackwell or the Blackwell platform in general, right? Screw Hopper. Let's get to some Blackwell models. Now, semi-analysis introduced something new, or they posted something new that I thought was pretty interesting. They mentioned that GPT 5.2 showcases OpenAI's incredible post-training stack in action, significant gains in knowledge work, think building a financial model, long context capabilities, and coding. The other thing is they mentioned that the actual price of this is increased dramatically, but what is more important is while the price of OpenAI's GPT 5.2 model increases, the overall efficiency has improved dramatically. So the efficiency of maybe let's say back then, a previous model, you would say think, go read something. Or the easiest way to think about it is back then when you used to say go to the library and get me a book, the model kind of knew how to get there, but didn't really know how to get there. So it will spend a lot of time thinking of how to get to the library, how to find the right book that you need to go, maybe a lot of just dumb steps that it does in between that if it would have just kind of really pre-planned, it would have saved a lot of time. So that's what models are doing now. They're getting better at thinking. And instead of spending so much time just doing random stuff or stuff that doesn't even make sense for their current task, they are improving. So in theory, you're using more tokens. But because of this, maybe there's an added cost in R&D or in research and development. So GPT's models, they're able to increase the prices. And it seems like it's crazy, but in theory, even though the price is going up, the amount of tokens you're going to be using is actually decreasing for the same task. So it's actually even cheaper and shorter, and it takes probably shorter time than when you were using a previous model. So don't just look at overall price increase and think, oh, look, that's bearish. But overall, this price hike they mentioned will directly increase OpenAI's margins, especially as they are getting better and better at software engineering. They mentioned that Opus, for example, was very similar. Opus was a more expensive model, but because the efficiency was better, you were actually able to get a lot better at a lower cost. You were able to get more, the total estimate cost was so much lower just because of how more efficient it was. So I think this is going to help OpenAI make more money and keep better margins and be able to fuel even more of this AI story because tokenomics is very crucial for how these models make money. So I like that a lot. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is, and sorry, I'm getting a phone call. The second thing is Disney and Sora, or the Walt Disney Company and OpenAI reached a landmark agreement to bring beloved characters from across Disney's brand to Sora. I think this is crazy. So, in the future, in theory, as part of a 3-year license agreement, Sora will be able to generate short user prompt social videos that can be viewed and shared by fans, drawing on more than 200 Disney, Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars characters. They're going to have the legal rights. That is insane, in my opinion. I do believe it's going to create a lot of people to come into Sora, to come to OpenAI solutions, because no other player right now has the Disney rights. If I can create some random stuff on Star Wars over and over, if I can make fan animation on Star Wars or all these things, that is insane, and I'll be able to show Sora. Now, there is an agreement that they will make a selection of these fan-inspired Sora shorts form videos available to stream on Disney Plus. So now on Disney Plus is going to be getting what many are considering AI slop, but I don't think they're going to put AI slop. But regardless, shorts on YouTube, shorts on Instagram are all slop, and it still keeps eyes on that platform. So I do think this is interesting. And I think we're going to start to see more agreements like this in the future. You're most likely going to see Netflix or other players start to partner up with some form of company, either being Google Gemini or being Anthropic, not Anthropic because they don't have a video player, or Sora here, or maybe Runway, another company that we're going to look at. Now, alongside the license agreement, Disney will become a major customer of OpenAI, using its APIs to build new products, tools, and experiences, including for Disney Plus and deploying ChatGPT for its employees. Now you're seeing another enterprise entering into the AI ecosystem, and other competitors of Disney's are going to be like, whoa, if Disney is doing this, should we also be doing this? Maybe we should subscribe and get our employees all into this. And the final thing is Disney will make a $1 billion equity investment in OpenAI and receive warrants to purchase additional equity. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a true cash transaction. Maybe through this partnership, right? Disney says, look, for this 3 years, my IP is worth the $1 billion or whatever, and so forth. So I don't know if there's going to be a true direct cash, but I do think this is the big, big, big asset that OpenAI has. OpenAI is what, worth over 300, $400 billion, maybe even further than that. They can say, look, it's not like you're going to give it to us for free, license to us. We'll give you in forms of equity. We can make some form of agreement where you get $1 billion. I mean, $1 billion is a lot. And if it's in form of equity investment, if that investment doubles, that's easy money for you. So you get to be part of an AI super race, and you also get to get part of equity investment. So I do believe that's a strong asset that OpenAI can use for the future. Obviously, it sucks for maybe shareholders of the private entity, but it's a great way to bring a lot of things, a lot of IP that maybe might be expensive but kind of sell equity instead, or transfer of equity, or some unique partnership like this. And I think that goes a long way for the AI ecosystem and allows them to innovate more in the space without spending too much money. Um, Obviously, it's going to end up improving probably Sora's use case. And then if it includes Sora's use case, you're going to need more demand for Sora. You're going to need more compute. You're going to see more social platform move into the Sora space. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm not as bullish on Sora, the app, but I am bullish on Sora, the AI model, and the imaging model, where I will be able to generate legal, I guess, fan generated AI solutions based on Disney's IP. So I thought it was pretty cool. They say this is going to start in early 2026, and you're going to have various iconic animated or illustrative versions, right? You're not going to have the real person, because the real person, that's someone's likeness, but you will get the animated or illustrated version of these characters from Marvel, from Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Captain America, and the list goes on and on. So I really like this. I know maybe some people weren't, but overall, I thought that was pretty cool. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is CoreWeave. CoreWeave today announced agreement that Runway, a global AI company building the next frontier of intelligence and human creativity, has signed a contract with CoreWeave to provide AI cloud solutions that would scale and accelerate its next generation video generation model. Runway is at the forefront of video generation, and Runway will utilize NVIDIA's GB300 NVL72 system for large-scale training and inference, as well as weight and base models for full observability across their workloads. Now, Runway is an amazing, amazing, amazing video model, the greatest video model out there. Now, I haven't been following Runway in a while, but lately they've actually taken their Runway model and tried to enter into more niche markets, obviously media entertainment, but these models are physically simulate the physical world pretty well. So you can also enter into the robotics and autonomy market, or other markets that require that type of simulation data. And that is also somewhere that they can make money. Now, the agreement didn't have any billions of dollars, and we didn't see any massive numbers of dollars here. And I think there's a reason for it. If you guys have been following this channel, you know that CoreWeave has an agreement with NVIDIA. One of the big things that CoreWeave builds this AI massive, massive, the biggest AI infrastructures out there, right? This is why I say no one touches CoreWeave in the neo cloud players. There's no one that builds bigger AI infrastructure than CoreWeave. Now, there's a issue with that though. That comes with a con. Because it's so massive, only X amount of players can really rent it out. That's why you have your big players like Meta, like OpenAI, like Microsoft, like Google, that are the ones that are renting out their products or their infrastructure. It's very hard for a small AI model company to rent them out, because they only do these massive agreements. Now, that's where NVIDIA comes in. NVIDIA locked in a massive infrastructure for, I forget how many years, for $6.2 billion. But NVIDIA did it in a way where NVIDIA understands that, look, we can use the compute, obviously, but what we really want to do is make sure the ecosystem has a fair ground. And now we guarantee some form of revenue to you. But if you have customers, those customers can take this a section of this infrastructure. So now they don't need those hundreds of billions, or not hundreds, but those tens of billions of dollars of contract to rent out your GPU. Maybe they might just need a smaller workload. You can take the workload that you have aside from me, you can charge them for it, and now they are going to be able to be running on their model. Thing is, eventually, if they do well, they might become the next OpenAI. Maybe not in the text format, but they might become the next OpenAI in the video format. And then that becomes a massive customer that in the future doesn't need to take NVIDIA's compute or NVIDIA's help. Again, remember, they're still paying it. Runway will still be paying it, but now they don't have to sign these massive contracts. But if this market goes like crazy, the next time they sign a deal, they will be like, I can sign a multi-long-term deal with you, right? I can sign that 2-year, 3-year timeframe deal for H100s, the H200s, the Blackwell platforms, because you allowed me to get the opportunity to get such a small amount at first to scale up from there. And once I can scale up, I can come to you for it. So I'm actually pretty excited about this. The way Runway has really transitioned into things is looking like a really smart move in forms of business, entering the general world models, the robotics and autonomy. Kind of, we see here the avatars. I canceled my subscription on this a few months ago. I think I might be jumping back into it because it seems insane, insane. And I think this is if they become a big customer, this is just another. If they become a massive AI model company, this is going to be another massive customer of AI compute for CoreWeave, for NVIDIA, for the list goes on and on. And there's so many companies out there right now, right? It's not just OpenAI, it's not just Claude. You have so many opportunity of other companies becoming a massive player where AI fits in one unique space, right? They're not worrying about chatbots. They're not worrying about coding. They're worrying about video. And then within video, they're worrying within robotics and within other things. Other companies can be doing something else in video. Other companies can be doing something else in another aspect. And one of those companies will become their OpenAI for their version. And that is what gets me super excited for this AI ecosystem. Now, again, maybe this one wasn't as much of a stock individual based video, but it is great to understand where this ecosystem is, because then when those bearish theses come out and say, oh, there's no demand for compute, there's no ROI, you can say, but what about all these other companies that are not OpenAI and still need this massive amount of compute? I think when you understand the tech a little bit more, we don't have to think about it and understand all the ins and out, but understanding just how much they can grow, I think is a very, very important trait. Now, if you guys made it this long, I would appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't, make sure to join the community at whatthechip.com. I just dropped a recent report for my members there on Amcor. Later today or tomorrow, I will be dropping one on Synopsys and maybe one on Broadcom as well, as they just reported earnings. So take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.